make it better than yesterday. You can always find a way to start over again. When the sun rises, you can start over again. A new day, you can make it better than yesterday.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your girl Diamond. So I am here with somebody that I have been watching on the come up, and I have seen them out here doing their thing. And I'm like, let me see if I can get him on the show. He is a young, amazing Black trans man that I have seen him just kind of blossom in the past couple of years. We had some brief conversations during like COVID, the 2021
Yeah, yeah.
in that, but then shit started happening and then we just kind of reconnected. So I invited him on the show. So I want to introduce to y'all Sir Diamond.
Hey y'all, it's Sir Diamond. Yes, Diamond is Sir Diamond.
Yeah,
Diamond was
Diamond.
my birth name. Diamond was my birth name.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I got
Yeah.
two diamonds in my high school when I was transitioning, and I was like, oh. And what's crazy is because it's one of everybody when I was growing up had funny stripper like names. When we were the trans girls would have funny stripper type names, and they would be like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, that's gonna get you clocked. That's gonna get you clocked without them
Yeah.
weirdo." So when I went to the courthouse to get my name changed, I was gonna
Uh-huh.
name myself Danae, Danae, like Danae.
Uh-huh.
And so
Janae.
I was gonna name myself that, but I had been Diamond for so long in my community
Uh-huh.
because people were making me feel insecure about the name. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do it Danae and da da da.
Mm-hmm.
But then as soon as I filled out my paperwork and I was taking it to the courthouse to change
Mm-hmm.
my name, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, why KB motherfucking Diamond?
Yeah.
Diamond, fuck that.
You can be
And so
Diamond,
I
yeah.
literally tore up the papers, went and reprinted new papers and put Diamond in there. And that's how
Yeah.
I said Diamond. That's who the fuck it is.
Yeah. Diamond's fire. Diamond's fire, yeah.
So tell me about where you grew up and tell me the people who were loving on you, who was raising you in your younger years.
So I'm from Ohio. I'm from three different cities in Ohio. I've lived 8 years in three different cities equally so far. I grew up with my auntie. My mother was arrested when I was born, so I grew up with my auntie for a couple of years, and then when my mother got out, she took me. We moved to a different city. We hung out there for a couple of years, and then she had two more kids, and so I grew up as the oldest of four kids. I have two brothers and a little sister under me. I always like to say my mom had all boys. She had girl, boy, but I turned into a trans man. Then she had a boy. Then my sister is a stud. She's a masculine stud. She wears boy clothes. And then she had a boy after that. So I like to say my mom's coochie don't know how to make girls.
She
we
had
all
that
came out.
masculine energy.
We all have masculine energy. But yeah, then I bounced around between like age 13 to 18. I bounced around a lot, living from house to house with different family members. At one point, I even lived with my basketball coach for a year, when I played basketball in high school. And then I've been in Akron, Ohio for the past 8 years, the past 7 years. And most of my since I started my transition, I've been in Akron, Ohio.
And so I would be remiss to not kind of point this out. So my mom went to prison in the early part of my life, in right around that time when they were doing the 94 crime bill. And it's interesting that we have that in common because that is people don't understand that the carceral system, not that it's not important to talk about how it affects cisgender Black men, but it also is something that affects mothers, Black women and Black mothers, and that we have a bunch of children who have been product of some of these, these crazy in carceral practices in our country
Yeah,
around locking up Black women. And so we are a product of that kind of ball and chain.
yeah, for
And so
sure.
I wanted to kind of point that out. So this is something that affects children, it affects women, and not saying that, we can't talk, we can chew gum and walk at the same time. We can talk about how it affects cisgender men, but also we got to make sure that we don't leave out the conversation of how it affects Black women.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I didn't really recognize that I missed those years with my mother until I got older. I had always been told like I lived with my auntie until I was 3 years old, but like really understanding that as I grew older, like dang, I didn't even get to spend those vulnerable baby days with my mother. I was with someone else. So when my mom came and got me back, it was a misconnection there, and we never really had a connection growing up after that. It wasn't close like this is my baby, this is my daughter. It wasn't really like that. My mom did have me when she was 16, and then she got me back when she was 19. I granted she was young, but like the relationship of us being close and having a bond and stuff was like that was never there.
Mm. Mm.
She was a mother though. I was clothed, I was fed, good birthday parties. I never went without. But the connection of being a mother to a child was never there.
It kind of was disrupted.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So, how has your relationship with your family and friends changed and grown as you have come into your identity? And what does those relationship mean to you now?
That's a good question. So a little backstory. My grandmother, she passed away during COVID, bless her soul. She has always, my whole life knowing her, has always had a husband and a wife. So I didn't know it would be wrong to even be lesbian or gay. To me,
Period. Come on, grandma.
our family was like, so it wouldn't have been wrong for me to feel the way I felt. So nobody made me feel wrong. And when I came out, I didn't even come out as a stud. They already knew that I was gonna be a little boy when I got older or whatever. So I didn't really have to come out when I was a stud. But with the trans thing, when I did come out at the time, my mother's best friend was a trans woman. So my mom knew about trans. She knew something about it, just a little bit. So when I came out, my family was just like, okay. I was like, I'm gonna turn into a boy. Like I'm gonna get a beard. Like I'm gonna cut my chest off. I'm gonna go buy me this little dick, and I'm gonna be, what I'm saying, I'm gonna be this. And they was like,
How old were
okay.
you?
When I told the first person, it was my auntie who I was living with at the time. I was 17 and a half before I was getting ready to turn 18. I had told her this. And I had told my mother when I was 18
What year was
before
this?
this was 2017.
Okay.
So I might have told my auntie 2016, and then I started to transition 2017. And I told my mother 2017, like, Mom, I'm like about to start transitioning, like I'm about to turn into a boy. And they were all just, it was the same reaction across the board, like, okay, like, all right. But my mother did not believe that I was transitioning until she started to see the changes. I kept telling her, like, Mom, I'm like 3 months on testosterone. I'm 5 months on testosterone. I'm like, I'm 8 months. And then she started to like see the peach fuzz and stuff and started to like hear my voice crack. She was like, oh, okay. I didn't know you was for real. I was like, wow, I've been telling you this whole time. She's like, oh, okay. But now it's like my mom, I'm son. She quick to tell somebody, like, you remember Diamond with the ballies? That's him right there. That's my son right there. Like she embraces it. She likes it. She enjoys it. I mean, I don't have a family member that's like, no, I'm not going around them because I don't support that. I have a cousin that's a pastor. He follows me on Facebook. He likes my stuff, tells me to keep my head up as a black man and the stuff that I go through. Like, so I'm blessed to say like my family was like okay with it, not really like, nah, I don't do that. It was just like, it's your life, do what you want.
That is a beautiful. That's a beautiful state of being, and I want to attribute that you come in. I want to attribute that to the cultural shifts that are that has kind of happened. Not just, and of course your granny being an example of a queer person that's kind of navigating a world differently, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of laying that groundwork for you to be accepted when you come along, but
Yeah.
also cultural differences, all the cultural changes that has happened during, I'm thinking like 2017. Whoa, so many things had happened
Mm-hmm.
10 years prior, like even just 10 year prior. Of course, like I said, I came out in the 90s. So all this groundwork that happened, I just feel like it's all the things that allow for somebody to be in a place that is healthy. And
Yeah.
we know, just based on statistics, that when trans people come up in a family and an environment that is affirming, that is healthy, it leads to less suicide. It leads to just more, just a better turnout in regards to their life experiences. So I'm
Yeah.
so proud to hear that you experienced that.
Yeah. That's why I do the one-on-ones to sit down with other people, because I told my story, and like I didn't really experience the family not accepting me. I didn't really experience so much pushback when I came out in school either. So I like to hear other people's stories because I know that exists. And although I didn't experience it, I like to give people a chance to tell their stories and how they overcame it, because you never know who it can help.
Yeah. So tell
Yeah.
me, how did the school thing? Tell me, how did that trans?
Yeah. Because I can't when Obama finally passed the law, when the law finally passed that we can go into the bathrooms that we identify as, I was 11th grade in high school, sitting in class with my friend, who I do, and I showed him on a shade room. I saw it on the post, and I showed him like, look, and he was like, they already know how I've been thinking about being trans and have already talked to the doctors and stuff, and like just starting it. He was like, I bet you won't go into the boys' bathroom. I was like, I bet I will. So the bell rang. I went right into the boys' bathroom. The principal came, the officer came, like, and then now all the kids are gathered around because they want to see what's going on. And they see me come out the boys' bathroom, and half of them is laughing because they think I'm playing too much because I was like the class clown. And the other half was like, she did say she was a boy now. Like, she did say that. Like, so the principal was like, what's going on? I was like, well, Obama passed the law, that we could go in the bathrooms. And they all just kind of like looked at each other, all the adults, and was like, well, like, it's not really nothing we could do. So they just dispersed the crowd and we went on about our day. And that was it. But again, I really feel like it was my personality, who I was, and what I had already been doing before that. Like, I was a stud and I was masculine, and I carried that energy. I unapologetically, I didn't care how nobody felt about who I was. And so when it came to the time for me to come out as trans in school, I feel like it was more so like people was trying to understand me because I was open about it and I was liked by many. I wasn't an outcast to begin with, not to say that was wrong, but I wasn't an outcast to begin with. I was already like, nobody's going to get bullied in front of me. Nobody's going to be disrespectful in front of adults in front of me. Like, I carried myself with, like, I was a leader already. So coming out, it was like, you can come and ask me questions. I'm going to answer. You don't have to come and feel like, be upset or feel like you don't understand me. I will explain what's going on. I can give you some insight, but you're not about to be disrespectful about it. We ain't about to do that. So I feel like that kind of made it better, because even the principal had to sit down and ask me questions of, how can we help you moving forward? How can we do this? And she even told me, like, you know what, even though I don't understand this or I agree, I appreciate you being open, because without that, I wouldn't have known. I don't know where to go to get help moving forward. I don't know what to do.
Right. And I think something that I learned in my own experience, and when I got older, and people would kind of contact me and be like, I'm thinking about transitioning at school and da 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 da. In my brain, I thought that the not slow as in like annoyingly slow, but I felt like if you start to build it up and it's not some instant flip, like a surprise and gag and in that
Yeah.
kind of way, I think that the slow, for me particularly, it was a slow grind. It was, yes, it was a distinct time that I said, oh, I am doing this now.
Right, right, right.
It also, in regard to how I rolled it out, it was kind of like a slow grind. My clothes got a little bit tighter. I started letting my hair grow out. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, I got on hormones, so my breasts started to grow,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just kind of like this slow thing. And for me, it was perfect because of the time that I did it, the cisgender girls was going through the same kind of physical transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And so they too were growing breasts at the time that I was growing breasts. So it wasn't, so I would have conversations about how, my fucking nipples is feeling kind of stretchy
Right,
because they're stretchy.
right.
Da da da. I could have these conversations. And so by the time my high school made it a problem, I had already had 4 years of convincing students, teachers accepting it, like so
Mm-hmm.
many people kind of just accepting it, that
Right.
you having a problem with this actually look fucking silly.
Yeah. And yeah. Yeah. I get it. Cause I came out twice in school. That was the first school, and after that, I moved to another school after that. And so the next kind of like barrier that I faced was because I played basketball. I was on the girls' basketball team. So with me wanting to, come out as trans and be identified as a man, but still playing on the females team, kind of was like a conflict and thing that I dealt with on a daily basis. There was one point in time that I was very, very depressed in school because I knew what I wanted to do, but I knew society was going to hold me back had I wanted to go to college and play basketball, because I had scholarships to go play basketball as a girl in college, but I knew once I started testosterone, I would not be able to transfer my scholarship to a men's side. The men's don't know nothing about me. Only the girls do. So I knew I would have to give up basketball in order to start my transition. So playing basketball and finding out that I was trans was kind of like the only tough time that I really had during my transition. And that was at the beginning. And once I came to the thought, like, if nobody else was on earth, like, what would I do? Would I stay a female, or would I transition? And I would transition if I was by myself. So if I would just do it by myself, then why not just do it now? So I just kind of was like, you know what? I'm gonna still go to college, but I'm gonna transition. I'm gonna go to college as me. I'm gonna show up as me, as I want to be. So I started testosterone 1 month before I graduated high school.
Mm. And it's interesting that you talk about sports, because a lot of times you get in the comments when people talk about trans women in sports and that kind of stuff. They'll get in the comments and they'll say stuff like, it's always these trans women trying to bully themselves into women's sports. You don't see the trans men doing that. And I'm like, that's because you don't listen to trans men, and you don't even follow trans men. You're not in community with trans men, because if you knew that, you would know that even before some of these trans women's stories,
Women, yeah.
it was trans men in the trenches of these sports, like battle. Like when we think
Hmm.
of Mac Briggs, we had him on the show before, the only
Hmm.
white trans man at the time that I interviewed him, was the only white trans man that was ever on my show. And
Hmm.
he literally was here in Texas trying to be on the men's wrestling team, and
Yeah,
they forced him after testosterone to play with the girls, and he was dominating them because
yeah,
of
yeah.
transition. And in my brain it was hypocritical, because y'all were always talking about, we want to protect the women, protect women's sports, but then you got this whole man on testosterone fighting these
Yeah,
girls, which could,
yeah,
if you talk about harm, it could harm them or whatever,
yeah.
disadvantage. So you don't really care about fairness, you care about putting trans people in their place. And
Hmm.
so if you are in these comments, or you see people in these comments, as you all who are listening, and you see them saying stuff like trans men don't this, that's a lie. We all
Yeah,
are out
it
here
is.
trying to push the envelope when it comes to opportunities that we have, particularly around sports.
Yeah, there's so many guys that hit me up even when I talk about my past of playing sports. There's so many guys that hit me up like, we need a trans league, we need to do this. Like, bro, I used to play basketball too, or I understand I had to give up track, or I had to give up basketball, I had to give up volleyball, I had to give up this. And I'm like, bro, like, I understand. I actually just did a LGBT versus anti-LGBT podcast, I mean show, just last weekend, and one of the topics was about trans people playing sports. And my response to that was, if they was to try to make a trans league specifically for trans people, that would be a target. I feel like that would be a target for so many people to show up and try to shut us down, and it would just be a big thing. And then I also feel like they think that we're just trying to infiltrate the team or infiltrate everybody on the team, or like the trans woman going to go play with the biological women, they feel like they're trying to infiltrate. You don't know what they had to do to even get there, to even be approved to be on the team. You have to be on estrogen and allow your body to change before you even get to play with the women. And then for the trans men, we don't even get the chance to make it on the team, because they already look at us as these small little girls who can't even hang with these 6 foot dudes on the court. So it's I don't know, to me, if they was to make one, I feel like it'd be a target. I think it's a good idea, but I feel like it would be a target. The same way I feel about the bathrooms. I don't feel like you should make a trans inclusive bathroom in the middle of the men's and women's bathroom. I feel like that will be a target. To see all these people walk in this one room, they will be targeted. So I don't know. I think it's a good idea, but I just think it'd be a target. So I feel like it should just be rules in place before we're allowed to participate in the sports with the gender that we identify as.
I think this is my hot take on sports, if I'm to be honest. Now, like, we're just thinking hypothetical, and so I want gender to be like not a separation tool in sports at all. I feel like, what if we co-ed every motherfucking thing? I know for a fact that there are going to be some cisgender, just take trans out of it.
Right, right,
Co-ed, everything out. There's
right.
going to be some cisgender women that are going to dominate some men
Mm-hmm.
in the
Oh,
sport. There
right.
are going to
I
be
agree.
I just think that there are some. And if we like say that we just had them just running. Now, of
Mm-hmm.
course, because some of the physical advantages, maybe men might be in the top. But with
Mm-hmm.
that, there's gonna be some gray area in the middle because I
Mm-hmm.
just know that there is. It's just simple.
Yeah.
Just do it.
I
And
was
so,
once in that gray area, you know?
yeah,
Right.
where
So I understand.
I could dominate you because I know some people that like just take Brittany Griner. You take her and play them against some of these dudes that I see at the fucking gym. She will smash their motherfucking ass when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
And
my dog. That's my dog.
maybe she won't smash a LeBron James, but
Right.
she smashed the average ass dude out here playing basketball on the court. I
Right.
think that, I just think that that's kind of what it's going to be some gray area. And so we can rank people based, to me, I would love to see that. Just have it.
Yeah,
And
that would be dope. I always
that would
thought
be
of that
dope.
too. I
Yeah.
always thought of that too. Yeah.
So, and we still would have, you still would be able to see who is the top woman because
Right.
she may not be taller. Like say we're talking about not taller. Say we're talking about track. She may not beat the fastest man, but
Right.
still is going to be the fastest
Fast.
woman on the track, and she
Right.
some of these niggas.
Uh-huh. Right. Yeah, I understand. I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that would be dope. Just
Yeah.
something, but I don't think they would ever do that.
Right.
So tell me, how has your understanding of masculinity kind of evolved through your life, and how has it been influenced by your experience as a Black trans man? Like how has it evolved? How did it come about? Like in regards to like how you saw masculinity growing up?
That's a loaded question. Like I said, I didn't have a father figure growing up.
Now wait. Before you keep saying that.
I didn't. I know who my dad is,
But there was
but
no men around you as examples.
my mother dated people, but my mother didn't date to where that guy was seen as stepdad. He just was messing with my mother. You know what I'm saying? So if he was around, he was just with my mom. In the way I was raised, when adults are up and around the house, you stay in the room. So I wasn't around adults a lot. I was always around kids.
Okay.
So it wasn't much for me to see from them, nor were they trying to be a dad. Like I said, they weren't trying to be a dad to me. I mean, they had kids with my mother, they were a dad to them, but nobody was trying to be a dad to me.
So no uncles, no cousins.
No. So when my mother got me back when I was 3, we moved to a whole different city from where our family is really at. So where we moved to, we kind of made our own family with people that we have met along the way. So it wasn't really uncles. It was just people that she knew and they were around. So those type of men I did see, and those were like, street dudes, gangbangers, you know what I'm saying? Those type of guys. And I was always a little bit wiser for my age. I don't know if that's just because I had to take care of my siblings at a young age, but I knew who I wanted to be, and who I didn't want it to be. So even though I saw that and I indulged in it a little bit as a kid, I knew like that's not the right route I wanted to take when I got older. I didn't want to be in the streets or anything like that. But like the masculine energy that I always carry, it was more so what I felt was right to how to treat a woman because I liked women. So how would I treat a woman? I would treat her this way. So that's kind of like how my energy and how my masculine energy was as a kid. It was just to be soft and nice to the girls because I'm already rough and rowdy. So I got to be soft and nice to the little girls. And then when I started to like transition, no, even when I was a stud, like I said, I had stud friends, but it was a clear, distinct difference between me and the studs. Like they would get weave, they would get their nails done, they would still twerk a little bit, they would still I wasn't doing any of those things. Like for a joke, yeah. One time somebody even dared me to wear a dress to school. I wore a dress to school. The whole school was shocked because I don't dress like that. I don't act like that. It's not something that you would be used to seeing me in. But like the men that I saw as a stud weren't any men that I wanted to be either because the way they treat women. I want to treat a woman soft. I want to treat a woman with respect. I want to open a door for her. I want to do this. And the dudes that I was seeing, they was following the dudes like out in the streets. So it was like, nah, I want to be a little bit different. And so becoming a man and finding that energy in real time, it took a little bit because like the energy that I had as as a female, but the masculine energy is way different than the energy that I have as being a man now. It's like more assertive, more stern, more slower in time. Like I understand to take my time with women and not be so fast paced with everything, just wanting to get in your drawers, wanting to be all up in your face. That's kind of like how it is as a kid. Like that's how all the boys was. Like, how fast can you get her number? How fast can you kiss her? How fast can you do this? How fast can you? Not like a game, but that's just how it was. Like, I bet you ain't gonna get her number right now, though. Like, that's kind of how it was. But now it's more, I want to get to know you. I want to feel your energy. I want to see how you are in real life. Like, that's where I'm at in my energy. And being masculine, it's so fire. The women pick up on that. I like older women too. So I come with a little different approach. And then women be like, "How old is you, boy? Because you different. How old is you?" I'm 25. The last person I was talking to was 31. So like I got a little different energy to me. You see?
So let me ask you this. So it's something this is something that I think myself, when I was younger, I used to self-reflect and really think about how I think about transition. And so a lot of times trans people will say, I really felt like whatever the gender that I'm going to. Like I would say, I really felt like a girl. I felt like I had this feminine energy. I felt like I was supposed to be a girl. I already felt like a girl. Even before I took hormones, I felt like a girl. Like that's just what it was. But then when you get on the actual hormones, it takes it to another level. So it makes me self-reflect and say, did I actually feel what I was feeling? Or was it when I was younger? But then what it was is I'm just having just a different chemical makeup that is making me way more in tune to what I was already in tune with. So for you, what was that kind of shift prior to testosterone, from prior to testosterone to after testosterone? What are some of those kind of nuances that you felt when it comes to your identity and your masculinity?
I don't know. That's a good one. I never thought about that. I never thought about that. I never thought so. Like, I was just talking
Because
about
it
this.
does something different to you. When
Yeah.
you testosterone, it's a whole different. And this, particularly, let's talk about testosterone, because as trans people, there's a unique space that we are in where we know the feeling of when we are high on estrogen and when we are high on testosterone, no matter what we're going to in polarization. So for me, I know when I haven't taken no estrogen and my brain, and I don't know how nobody else's is, but my brain can't even function because I'm so fucking horny. Like I can't, but when my testosterone is fucking high, like I can, like you say, I gotta study for a test or study for something. Testosterone will make me, I literally have to go and masturbate to kind of have a release just so I can focus on the task at hand. Testosterone is a strong ass fucking chemical. And so I can't imagine somebody who is coming into that space and they're not used to that intensity, and it's not just sexuality, even anger. Like even when my testosterone is high, you have to be very, very conscious of how you engage, because your anger can come out fast and flash. And so how did you navigate that? Excuse me. How did you navigate that kind of difference when you came into your medical change?
Wow. I mean, the first thing that I could kind of think about is like the friendships that I had at that time. That's kind of when I started to notice it. Like I said, when I was a stud, I had a lot of stud friends. And so when I started to get on testosterone, the separation started to happen because the things that I was experiencing in my day-to-day life now was like it wasn't as a stud. I feel like I felt masculine and I was masculine, but I was masculine enough as a female. But for the testosterone to hit my body, it was like I just kind of had to sit up a little bit more. Like, hold on, you feel me? Like I got a little, I don't know how to explain it, but I just had a little to me. It just added a little, it just added that. And I was a touch me not stud. So then added the testosterone. I was like, I gotta get touched. You know what I'm saying? Like now I gotta
Facts.
now I gotta get touched. And that was the experience of itself, because again, I was a touch me not. And so wanting to be touched, I had to get comfortable with myself down there. I had to really understand what was going on with my body down there. And I had to know what I liked down there. And so when I realized what I liked, you know what I'm saying, it was happening. It was happening because that testosterone, it was like I was an aggressive kid already, so the testosterone kind of calmed me down. It allowed me to slow down because I know I can get there. Don't let me get there, because I was already rough before. But now when you add a little testosterone, it was like I can't always get there with you no more. I got to be a little bit more reserved, because if I get there, I'm gonna get there. You know, so I had to learn to deal with that too. But the whole little bottom growth down there on the testosterone was like, you know. I felt like you couldn't tell me shit. Yeah, I was like, you could. I didn't care how big it was gonna be, how big it was gonna get. I was like, the growth that I have and what I feel and how I'm able to have sex now, from not even having sex, like not even getting oral sex before, and now I am. Oh yeah, you're not telling me nothing, bro. You're not telling me nothing.
So, can you share an experience where you felt fully seen and understood in your identity, and how that impact your sense of self? Like, what moments in your life so far, because you're 25,
Mm-hmm.
what moments in your life so far have brought you like the greatest sense of affirmation and belonging? And yeah, how do you hold on to those moments in like hard times? So let me ask it. Are there's moments that you remember right now in these years that you have transitioned and you're living your truth, that you like, oh my God, this moment right here made me feel like that nigga. Like this made me feel like so affirmed, so into who I am. What was that moment? Well, I don't want to
I
speak.
can give two. I can
I
give
can
two.
I can
I,
tell when you got your top surgery, you was feeling like that nigga. I remember. I remember that. But go ahead.
you know, it wasn't even that. But I can give two different experiences because they correlate with each other. One was before I was even seen as a man, kind of in the middle, and then one was when I was seen, and I had that affirmation. So both settings are at work, and I was working and I had to train somebody, and the person that I was training kept calling me a girl, and I kept telling him like I'm a he, like my pronouns. He didn't know. I didn't tell him I was trans or anything, but he just kept calling me a girl. And it was the first time that I had been misgendered while even on testosterone. And I'm like, everybody else has been calling me he. So what is this person seeing to keep calling me a girl? Like, am I doing something wrong? Am I saying something wrong? Am I moving feminine or something like that? And I remember that memory and that experience stuck with me for a long time. And it kind of like caused me to have body dysphoria, because I was like, okay, I'm not a man yet. Like I'm not there yet. So I can't expect people to treat me this way when I'm not there yet. So I kind of like got in my head, even though it wasn't true, but I kind of let that experience get in my head, because I felt like because they didn't see me who I was, that I wasn't seen by anybody. So about a year or two later, I was at work. I worked at a moving company. These guys didn't know I was trans. It was about my second day there. We having lunch. We sitting here talking. We talking about women. We talking about sports, and we're just going on, going on, going on. And we get back to moving. I'm carrying stuff by myself. I don't need help with anything, and I'm doing. And the guys was like, "Bro, that little nigga strong. Like, you know what he be doing at home. Like, it was in a jokingly like how boys get on the younger guys like." It was in a joking way, like you know, you finna go home and tear that coochie up, like you. In that moment, it made me feel like, wow, like that was affirming to me, because it was the guys embracing me as a young man. So that's what made me be like, and I didn't have top surgery at the time. It was just who I was and how I carried myself, and the way that they joked and picked on me, and what I saw other guys dealing with when I was a kid. I finally got that moment, and I was like, wow, that was big for me. So that's when that was the best memory that I had. And it might be kind of small because I was at work, but it was big for me because I had that memory. I had that moment where the niggas is picking on me. You know what I'm saying? They cracking jokes on me. And it was out of love.
It's a rite of passage. It's a rite of
Mm-hmm.
passage for dudes. It's just something that you just kind of grow up with. Another
Yeah.
that I like to kind of point out that that is a unique experience of trans people where we can kind of, because we have oscillated between the both experiences, we're
Mhm.
able to have those kind of connections in understanding that. Like I've been in that situation. It wasn't affirming to me, but I understand it because I've been in that situation, and I can see, if I was a trans man, how
Mhm.
important that rite of passage for me. I remember going to the barbershop, and that super masculine space for me. I'm like, ooh, I don't like this motherfucker.
Yeah, yeah.
But I can only imagine a trans man coming in that space, getting his hair faded
Yeah.
and just,
Oh, yeah. Especially when it comes to the beard, and all the guys like,
yes.
"Yeah, what you use for your beard? What you use?" And I'm like, these niggas don't even know. I didn't have shit 5 years ago. I didn't even have shit. You know what I'm saying? I started from ground zero. These men don't even know. Then I come in here and get the whole little thing. Oh, that's my favorite one. They be like, bro, what you use on your beard? I'm like, so what you do is you get this, you get that. Now I can, you know what I'm saying? Now I feel like I can add on and pass on some stuff as a man from my man experience. And that's big. People ask about my beard and what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, hold on.
I
All
love
right.
that. So you just talked about how when you got on testosterone, you kind of there was a shift in how you identify with your body. You went from a touch me not to lie, touch me a lot.
Yeah.
So explain to me, how has your connection to your body shifted in regards to, like your identity and, your comfort? Because I know me, I've always felt like my transition healed, like cured my dysphoria. I remember when I was younger feeling like, ooh, I don't have the body that I want and da 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 da. But once I started to do the things that made me become the woman that I am, when I started to get on the hormones and I got my breasts done I did all the things to make my body fit what I felt like was the perfect to
Mhm.
me,
Right.
perfect body. That is when I stopped having these like moments of doubt. I start feeling like, oh, I'm that bitch. I'm like, I can come in, I got my dresses on, I look good when I go out in the world. Everybody,
Mhm.
I'm getting ma'am, I'm getting the interaction with the public. It's about me, but because we are social beings in regards to
Right.
identity. Yes, it's a reciprocity that I get from the outside
Yeah.
girl and me. And so when I see that they're acknowledging my physical being, it gave me a more confidence, and it kind of healed my dysphoria. I don't really feel like I have dysphoria right now. Is there
Right.
something that comes up? Yes, it's something that's gonna always come up because I'm a trans woman, but a trans person. And because of that, there's certain things that are gonna trigger it, but it's just the frequency of it being triggered.
Right.
It's
Right.
so low now at this point in my life. Can you explain in ways that you have either reconnected with your body or have a deeper connection with your body after transition?
Yeah, so I kind of have like the similar experience. So when I was a girl, I looked at my bottom area when I was in sixth grade for the first time ever because I had to shave for the first time. And I looked at it and I just looked at it and I'm like, and I'm supposed to let something like this happen? I'm like, no way. And like that wasn't the first time that I realized like I don't like girls, but that was like the last time that I told myself like we ain't doing that. Like we like liking men, dating men, having sex with men is like out of the picture. Like there's no need to even think about that anymore moving forward. That was like the first time I see myself, and that was like the last time I had that thought about trying to do something with a guy. And so I never really cared to even care about that down there, especially because I was a touch me not, didn't really care about it. So when I started to transition and I realized, okay, my body is gonna start to change, like all these things are gonna start to change. And I know eventually I'm gonna want top surgery. Looking at my body became like something that I had to teach myself to do. And once it became a habit, it became something that I love to do. I love having mirrors up. I got a mirror right here that I literally sit in front of me. I like to stare at myself. I like to look at myself. And I feel like because I transitioned, that's the only reason why I became so interested in myself. Because before that, I didn't like taking pictures because I felt like I didn't look the way I should have looked, or I wanted to look, or I felt like I should look. So I was the one back and hiding in the back of the pictures, or if I was in pictures, I was doing something goofy. It wasn't nothing to show off my curves, nothing to look fine, nothing to look masculine at all, because I didn't feel like I looked how I wanted to. But when I started to transition and I started to see my body change. Before I got top surgery, I was swinging my titties all over the internet. I didn't give a shit because I love me. I love me. I started to really fall in love with myself. When I got my chest tattoo, I didn't have top surgery. I still had my breasts when I went and got my top surgery. And when I got my chest off, it was like, I'm really out here. I'm not putting on no shirt. Like my insurance didn't pay $8,000 for me to wear shirts. We ain't putting no shirts around here. And to go back into loving, like getting used to my body and loving my body, even though I got top surgery, I didn't really experience bottom dysphoria either because I still was comfortable and confident in my little 2 inches that I had. I was okay with that. And now I'm 7.5 years in. Now I'm looking into getting bottom surgery. And it's not because I don't agree, I don't like what I have, because I don't agree with what I have, but I'm okay with what I have. But now it's like, okay, I did this, I done that. I'm comfortable. Let's move on. Let's see if we could do something different. And now I'm just now looking into getting bottom surgery. But I never, in the beginning, I kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna get top and bottom. But then as my transition was going on, I was like, okay, I'm just okay with top. Like I'm okay with top. I don't need to get bottom surgery. Like I'm okay with my little growth. But now I'm like 7.5 years in. I'm like, I might want bottom surgery because I'm tired of this hole. If I miss my shot, might have a cycle again. I need to get a hysterectomy. I want to get this stuff done. So I'm like, okay, I might as well just try to go for bottom surgery a little bit. So now I'm just now looking into getting bottom surgery after 7.5 years, and that I never really was like, oh, I'm going to get it. If you watch back at all my videos, I'm like, no, I don't want bottom surgery. I'm not interested in it. I don't want it. Now I am, and I'm really loving my body. I'm okay I'm okay, but it's like I can have a little bit more. I can have a little bit more freedom in my bottom down there versus when sometimes I don't like to have sex because I'm gonna get wet, and I think about getting wet, and that gives me bottom dysphoria. But if I can get bottom surgery and I can get that out the way, we can get it cracking anytime I want. It might be 4-5 times now during the week. Now you can get it a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm just not getting to, but it being just transitioning alone allowed me to learn to love my body and love myself. Because as a girl, I ain't care. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't care what was going on down there. I didn't care to keep it shaved. I didn't care to, I was like, you know what it is, what it is. But when I started to transition, I shave often. I need my little extra couple centimeters. I need that. I need that. Oh, I don't know. It's just something about shaving. It just add a couple. It just adds something.
I tell people all the time that, I know that when you're introduced to the trans experience, it's kind of rooted in this self-hatred of one's body. But for me, my transition is a radical act of self-love. And it's because I love myself that I made these changes to my body. It is because I wanted to I wanted to create I wanted to take the power into my own hands and love myself radically enough to buck up against whatever system that people saying that you're a boy, you're a boy, you're a boy. No, this is what I'm going to be, and against whatever the world is saying. And that radical self-love is what got me where I am now. And so my transition was about that self-love. It was not about self-hate.
Yeah. I don't think I hated myself, but like looking back, I can say this now. My 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years were so hard because growing up, I always was a part of the boys. I played basketball, I played football. I'm sagging, I'm walking around with the boys. If you seen us walking up the street, it's just a group of boys. You didn't notice that it was a girl in the group. I played basketball, running up and down the court, sun up to sun down with people, and take my shirt off at the end of all the games, and they see my sports bra and be like, "You a girl this whole time?" Like, nigga, I did not know you was a girl. Like, and doing that, and then actually, I forgot what I was about to say.
And actually transition?
No, not actually transitioning, but like the way I was already seen as a girl, and then to transition, it wasn't that I hated my body or nothing. It was already there. It was already natural for me to feel this way, to feel masculine about myself and have this energy with me. So the only thing next, when I thought about transitioning, I was more so like, okay, I can call myself a male. I can say he now, and people are going to have to respond to me or refer to me as he and him. My body changing was a plus for me. I was okay I would have been okay if I couldn't get top surgery, if I couldn't get bottom surgery. That was a plus. But to actually change my gender marker, change my name, and be seen as a he, that was like the important part for me. But to add on the changes, I was like, oh yeah, I'm finna be fired. Like, and then that allowed me to love myself even more.
Gotcha. So, what are some of the big misconceptions? Like what's the biggest misconceptions that you've encountered as a Black trans man, and how do you challenge or navigate those kind of narratives in your daily life? Like, what are some of what have you like? What are the biggest misconceptions?
I think most of the time when people find out I'm trans, they assume that I lived as a woman. They assume that I had this era where I was wearing dress, I was dating men, I was having sex with men, and then I just one day woke up and was like, no, I want to be a man. And for me, I mean, I know people have had that experience, but they assume that's how all people of trans experience, like they lived as that gender and as an adult and then decided to switch one day. But I've never got a chance to be a woman. I don't even remember. I can't even say that I've lived a time to be a young teenager either because I was a stud. I was seen as a little boy out in the streets. I never really had no experience as a girl. So I feel like when people learn that I'm trans, they assume like I just lived that life and then now I just want to be now I want to act like a boy because being a girl didn't work out for me. I was ugly as a girl and nobody was going to date me when I was a girl. So I want to turn into a dude because I had muscles or I played basketball. So that's why I wanted to turn into a dude. So that's kind of like all it really be. But that don't bother me because I know I get up and live this life every single day. There's people who do not know that I'm trans and the relationship that I have with them is fine. And then when I do tell them that I'm trans, it don't change nothing. And then they can't even fathom the thought that I was a girl because of the way I presented myself. Because it's like you lying. There's no way. There's no way you was because the way I am, it's natural. It's not like I'm acting or I'm just trying to pick up on stuff or trying to figure out how to be a man. This is natural. This is just how it is. So I feel like that's the only one that I deal with when people be like, "Oh, you need to go back to being a woman. You need to go back to being a girl." I'm like, I never was. There's nothing to go back to.
Yeah. I also a question that I think I hear people ask is when you just mentioned it in the context of beauty, like, oh, you was an unattractive girl, so now you're trying to be a boy, and
Yeah.
there's all kinds of misogynist, colorist bullshit that happens in even presenting that conversation like that. But also, there is a conversation that people will have where because of the system of patriarchy and the systems that we think about when it comes to men and women, there is people will say, oh, because of the pressure, particularly I hear this conversation in lesbian circles, because of the privilege that come with being a man, that they are losing lesbian people are losing a collective of women who could just be women to being trans, and so they will make it seem like because trans men want to adopt the patriarchy that is
Mm-hmm.
why they transition, because they don't want to deal with the pressure and the oppression of being women. And so what do you say to that?
Mm-hmm. I honestly don't know what to. I honestly don't know what to say because again, I didn't get to experience that. So to say that I don't want to say that I don't want to do that, I don't know if that would be I don't know if that would be a good response. I've seen it from my mother and how she lived as a black woman and the oppression that she faced in real life in society. And I didn't look at her and be like, no, I don't want to experience that. I looked at it as I wish I was a little bit more masculine or I was a boy. So when that dude was putting his hands on you, I could have helped. I could have stepped up more. Or I wish that I was a dude so that I could be seen as the head of the house, and when I go out and make money, I can bring back money and take care of my family. That's how I looked at it. I never looked at it like, oh, I don't want to do that. I wanted to take care of, I wanted to fix the situation. But again, that was just the energy that I always had. I wanted to protect my mother. I wanted to take care of my mother. And I saw what she was going through in real time. And so that's kind of why I'm soft with Black women already, because I've seen what they can go through. Even as a little girl, I've seen that from my mothers. But I don't know. I can't say that I didn't want to do it. I wanted to take care of it. So when I have a woman in my life, I take care of her.
And so somebody would be listening and say, did that translate to you wanting to transition? What's the difference in that? Like, did that could that be a root of why you wanted to transition?
I don't think so.
Why?
I don't think experiencing that was like a route for me to transition. The transitioning was for me to feel confident and seen within myself. The energy I already had, even if I stayed a stud, I was going to have that energy of protecting my family, feeding my family, taking care of my family. I was going to have that regardless. But it was just to be seen as who I felt I was. I felt I was the man. I felt I was masculine. I felt I was the nigga. I felt I was him. And so I wanted to bring that forth outwardly. I already felt that. Even as a woman, when somebody would say, or even as a female, somebody would say and tell me, you're a girl at the end of the day, you'll always be a girl. Okay, that's fine. But this energy that I have is gonna be here all day, every day, 24/7. It's not going nowhere. It's not. If somebody told me, if they would, if even if a medical reason they say you can't get on testosterone at all, that would have been okay. I would have swallowed that pill. But this energy I have, I just would have been one dope ass masculine ass stud. But to add to transition and actually become a man, it just that was like a plus. I didn't look at it as I want to do it. I already knew I was. I already knew I was going to either way.
Hmm.
Does that sound like a route? Does it sound like it could have been a route though to see my mom experiencing that and be like, I want to protect my mom and take care of my mom. So transitioning, I will be able to do that because I feel like you can still do that as a woman.
I totally understand. I'm not playing devil's advocate, but I'm just giving a question that I hear. If I was answering, I can't answer the question because I'm not coming. I was raised to be at the hierarchy. They were raising me to be a man because
Mm-hmm.
of how they was pushing me to move. I'm coming in the social hierarchy, I'm coming actually down. So I don't know how the experience is to be a female or a woman and then kind of going up and coming into the spoils of patriarchy. Whatever you get with being a man, I don't have that access. I'm coming. How they say shit to me is that I'm giving up patriarchy, and
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know how that experience feels.
Yeah, so yeah, that's why it would be difficult for me to answer because again, mom, it was just my mom most of the time, and it wasn't no man around for me to take his energy and be like, I want to be like him. It was just in me. And then growing up, my family didn't make me feel like I was doing anything wrong. So it wasn't like, oh, you need to stop acting like a boy and be a girl. Like you need to live like this. You need to do that. Nobody was telling me to be a girl. I mean, growing up, my mom did my hair, ballies and beads and all that when I was a little girl. But once I was able to say, like, no, I want to wear this, I want to do this, and this is how I'm going to be, they left me to what I was, to what I wanted to do. And I experienced life moving forward, learning day by day. So I don't know. I there wasn't nobody around me to pull energy from or pull something from and be like, I want to go this route, or this is what I want, or I don't want to do this, I want to do this.
And I also know that it's hard. This is a nuance that's hard to explain for somebody who is not trans, because yes, yes, I could come and I can be a feminine gay man and still identify as a man and kind of navigate the world like that. But for me as a trans person, I needed it to be a distinction.
Difference. Yeah.
I needed to be I needed to navigate the world as the woman that I am. I am
Mm-hmm.
not a gay man. I'm not a feminine gay man. I'm not a souped up gay motherfucker. That's
Mm-hmm.
not who I am. This identity is core to who I am. And so I couldn't, for me, it wasn't something I needed to make you know that it's a distinction between me and a gay man. I needed
Right.
a distinction because when I'm navigating the world in queer spaces, as I'm navigating gay men, I wasn't attracted to them. I knew that there was a distinct difference between me and them, even the most feminine of the ones, even the ones who dressed in drag, even the ones who put on girl clothes. Yes, we're doing how we are expressing our gender may be in this feminized way.
Mm-hmm.
I did this at home. I did this alone. I did this when nobody is even watching me. I am
Mm-hmm.
a woman. When
Mm-hmm.
I cut the cameras off, when nobody is here, I'm
Yeah.
in the mirror and seeing a woman.
Mm-hmm. Which I do. Which I do.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
needed that distinction. So that's what I would say. I was like, you may not understand it, but that distinction between me and, I guess yours case would be like a butch femme woman. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a butch woman and being a trans man. I needed that. I needed that distinction. And
Yeah,
so,
for sure. For sure. I can understand that.
yeah. So I think it's one of those nuances that we might not ever be able to answer fully, but we just know
Yeah.
that's who we are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's the question when people ask, like, so when did you start acting like a boy? Or in your
Right.
case, like when did you start
Oh,
acting like a girl? And that's why I'm saying, like, I wouldn't really know how to answer that, because as long as I can remember, it's been like this. Like, I can remember being 9 years old in my dress on my scooter, scooting around, and I'm like looking up at the sky, and I'm like, yeah, when I get older, I'm not wearing no dresses. I'm wearing boys' clothes. And I just went on scooting along. Like, and as long as I can remember, I've always been masculine. And I was molested by my own uncle for a period of time in my life, and people ask me, is that a reason why I transitioned, or could that have been the reason why I transitioned? And it's not. Like, even before he touched me, I knew I didn't like boys. I knew that I wouldn't want to do anything with no guy, and thank God he never penetrated. That probably would have made me feel some type of way towards men, but what I experienced didn't it didn't even add a layer to say, yep, that's exactly why I don't like him. It didn't even add that layer. It was just, it happened and I experienced that. But even so, I was like, there's nothing about a guy, a man, that I ever found attractive. Ever. I've never even had the thought to be like, okay, well, let me just try before I transition. Let me just try. Never.
and also when it comes to statistically, Black girls, 1 out of 3 has been molested. If that was the trigger for transness, we would have a bunch of trans men running around
Yeah.
because many girls have been touched and molested by men, and it
Mhm.
didn't make them gay. It didn't make
Mhm.
them trans men. It didn't. There's so many, and so
Yeah.
it has to be different than that. I'm not saying that doesn't add something, a nuance. I'm
Yeah,
not saying,
it could.
but what I'm saying is that that's not the end all be all reason
Right.
because of transition or because of da da da. That may be an element. It may be
Right.
undeniable that it might not be. It might be an element, but there is a distinction between a trans person making that decision and just a butch lesbian saying, I just want to be a butch lesbian. There's a
Mm-hmm.
distinction that we're making, and so
Yeah.
all right, so how has your sense of community evolved, and like what roles has solidarity with the community, with a marginalized identity played in your personal and like political journey? Are you even at 25, are you on a political journey, like like where are you at in regards to like community and being in solidarity with some of the things that you're engaging with politically and community wise?
So that's only just happening recently. Although I've been sharing my journey since I took my first shot in 2017. Um, my career has more so just been educating and answering questions on social media. Only recently, the past year, I've been getting into spaces and joining LGBT resource centers, and actually being in the field and being on committees and showing up to trans groups and being a person to be, how do I want to explain it? Well, yeah, it's only just been recently, this around a year ago, that I just started to become a part of the community and being a part of the LGBT resources here around me. And it started because I ended up homeless. I ended up homeless and I needed a place to stay. And so I started reaching out to the LGBT resources out here. And once I got connected with them and I started telling them what I was doing, I started to, resource other things and start to dive in to other aspects. So I am a part of the LGBT Bayard Reston Center out here in Akron, Ohio. I'm also a part of the Primary Care Doctors Equitas Center out here in Akron, Ohio, too, for LGBT people as well. And now I'm being invited to different spaces to come speak and share my journey along with other aspects of just educating. Really, I just like to educate, the educating part, the more so political part and the laws and stuff. I hear about them, but I don't usually voice my opinion on them just because my platform is more so just educating. And so when you come over here, you're more so just learning about a black man's trans experience. That's more so what you're getting into. I do sometimes express my agreement and disagreement when certain laws come up, and I might make a video about it here and there. But politically, I'm not really too involved in it that way.
Mm-hmm. So, what about what that made me think about is how we get into these kind of like circles of community and social justice. And you just described being homeless. And so that need that you have puts you directly involved with trying to get resources. And so that's going to lead to you, being tokenized in some of these spaces. And, just the capitalistic needs of us socioeconomically, like us needing money, and then there's opportunities that are just not happening elsewhere. Like
Mm-hmm.
when we think about and this might be a spicy take, and I've talked about this with some of my cisgender friends. So when people think about me for gigs, it is always trans shit. I am a musical connoisseur. I can talk about so many things
Mm-hmm.
other than trans shit. So
Mm-hmm.
it forced me in a situation where the monetary opportunities are gonna be about trans shit. But I want people to think about me when they have other things. Think about me in other capacities, because it forces us. And I'm blessed in the sense
Mm-hmm.
of talking about trans stuff, and I appreciate the money that comes with it, but I also want to do other things. And so this path kind of can force us to be pigeonholed into social justice, be pigeonholed into just talking about transes and just being an expert in transes when I'm an expert in many things. And I want to be a part of that number. And I think this is something that happened in dating too. And I want to talk to you about dating. But I think that people don't think of us or they can't think of us. Like if you got an amazing friend who you think would be dope for me, now my presence isn't a barrier, because then you be like, oh, I got this chick that'll be bomb for you, but I don't know if she's into trans. It kind of similar to that, because there could be an opportunity that could come up that I could be great for, but because I am trans, it can be a barrier. So what do you think about that? Like
I
how
feel I,
experience?
I think that's kind of the reason why I don't get into the political stuff and why I don't dive so deep into those things, because I don't want to conform myself. Although I know I have a voice and I have a platform and I use it to my advantage, because I was just explaining this to my sister, because this might be a little bit off tangent, but my sister was like, she likes to dance and do TikToks. And she was like, post my video on your page. And I'm like, that wouldn't make sense for me to post that on my page if I've grown my platform on trans stuff. And then all of a sudden it's just dancing stuff. I would have to incorporate trans stuff with the dancing. It would have to be something on the screen saying something about trans, because my platform is geared to that. If I start to detour and do anything else, it will die down. And it's not because I'm not good at what else I may post, but people aren't looking for me for that. They're only looking at me to educate and answer questions and talk about my trans experience. So I feel like that's why I don't dive too deep. I kind of like play it safe and just answer the questions and stuff like that. So when I do add other avenues, it'll be easy for me to pivot and go different ways and not be so constricted over here. And again, I love my platform and I know I can get on there and do what I got to do and get me a bag, and while also having fun in what I'm doing. But I don't want to be conformed to where every time I'm being reached out to, y'all only want to do this. I'm funny too. Let's make a skit. I can act too.
Right.
Let's make a movie. Like we could do so
Right.
many, and then I can play that trans character in that movie. But let's do a movie instead. Like let's not just sit here and ask me the same 10 questions I've been answering for the past 10 years. Like let's do something different.
I have to compartmentalize certain things. Like for example, like if you follow me on social media, like say my Instagram. So I have an Instagram. I don't if people pay attention, I don't really be posting trans stuff on my Instagram. I
Mm-hmm.
don't post trans stuff there. I post trans stuff on my Marsha's Plate, my podcast shit, because it's about being a trans archive. What I post on my Instagram is my fashion stuff, my travels, me, just all
That's
the.
very good. That's
That's
very
what it
good.
is.
That's like diversifying your portfolio.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't want you. If you're following Diamond Styles on Instagram, I want you to like me for being Diamond Styles. And so Diamond
Mm-hmm.
Styles is gonna show you all the stuff that she might be into that don't have shit to do with trans, because I want you to like me for me. And it's not
Right.
my transness. Now, if you
Mm-hmm.
want my social justice stuff, yeah, come over to March's Play, follow March's Play, and see what I talk about politically, da 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 da. Uh,
Right.
and so for me, I have to compartmentalize particular stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because if I don't do that, then it will be what you're describing, where I'm going to be pigeonholed into talking about this, where I can't even do a TikTok
Mm-hmm.
dance and it makes sense. I can't even
Right.
da, 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 da. I don't want to be pigeonholed in that way, even though conversely, that is kind of pigeonholing me, because I'm saying, oh, I don't want to put my trans stuff on there. I want to
Yeah.
do this. But
Yeah.
it just makes it more comfortable for me when another element, like on my Facebook, I don't really promote shit. Like you don't see me promoting like advertising.
Yeah.
I'll do that on Marshall's Play, or I'll do that, but I'm not promoting anything. I'm not promoting products. I'm not promoting nothing unless it has something to do, unless I'm under contract to promote it and
Mm-hmm.
blah 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 blah, and I'm getting paid to do it. But even that, I don't really take sponsorships on my Diamond Styles, da 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 da. I rarely post on there in regards to like stuff like that, because
Yeah.
I don't want to be pigeonholed in that kind of way. I kind of want it to be a free place where I can post just my interests. So I
Right.
compartmentalize in that kind of way. And I just,
Yeah.
how is your love life? Like, what is going? How have you navigated dating as a trans man? What's that going on? As a young
Well,
25-year-old man out here looking like a chocolate trans Tyrese.
dude, they used to say I look like Tyrese when I was a girl too. um, but like I said, I always wanted to take care of my family. I always wanted a family. So at 19, I met a lady. I fell in love with a lady. She had 2 kids already. It was a nice little family. I got engaged to her 1 year in, and we just recently split up earlier this year. But so that's who I've been with for more than half of my transition. So like I can only speak on that because that's the only the person I've really been with. But experiencing life with her was very beautiful. It showed me a lot about myself. It showed me not only to how to be like a man and lead my family, but like how to be a dad. Like I had two little babies since they was 2 and 3 all the way up until they was 7, 8 years old. So I got to experience going on father-daughter walks, and I got to experience doing the little manicures with the babies and doing cute little stuff. And I got to experience loving somebody and having somebody there with me during surgery, having somebody there to care about me when I need to take my shots and make sure I'm taking my shots, and just sharing that journey with me. It was very beautiful. But like now that I'm single and I get to talk to a lot more a lot more ladies now, like I'm learning like the confidence that I have in myself, and the charisma that I have when I'm speaking to women. It makes me very proud of myself. Like I'm not even gonna lie, like just engaging, being able to not it's about them not even knowing that I'm trans that makes it better, because they don't know that I'm trans, and I get to have these conversations with these women. They're interested in me, they're interested in what I'm saying, they like the way I look, they like the way I carry myself. And that right there it just I don't know, it just do something to me. Like I love me. I really do. I really love me. I love that I transitioned. I wish that I could have transitioned a little bit sooner, because the life that I live now is like not anything that I could have imagined when I was a kid. I did not know that one day I would feel like, yes, yes,
I love
you
that.
did that. You ate that up. You ate that.
So as you continue to like grow and evolve, what kind of legacy or impact do you hope to kind of leave on like future generations of Black trans men? Like that's kind of navigating similar path. I know earlier before we started recording, you were saying that, just like me contacting you was kind of like affirming in regards to that. Like how, because I'm seeing you were a person that I'm seeing grow into like a next generation powerhouse. What does that feel like to you? Like, describe that.
um like I said, like even again, thank you for reaching out. But like I do get little affirming things along the way. Most of the time, it's usually people who be like, "Man, I've been following you since you was in high school and when you first came out." And some people was like, "Man, I remember when you got top surgery and I seen you go through this and I seen you go through that." And there's some people was like, "Appreciate you, bro. I got my top surgery date and it's such and such, such and such." Or "Appreciate you, bro. I just started testosterone. I take my first shot here." And those things right there is really like, dang, like I'm really doing something that I said I was going to do, because again, I didn't see nobody answering those invasive questions that people have, especially when they're not trans. It's really cisgender people who have questions because they don't know what's going on. And like to have those people even reach out to me and be like, "Bro, I'm so proud of you for sticking to who you are and really just growing with it and growing and shining." And so sharing that journey along the way, and understanding like what I'm doing now, like I love it. My goal is to help 100,000 people before I leave this earth in some type of way, whether that be to start their transition, whether that be to love themselves, whether that means to start their own business, whatever the case may be. My goal at the end of the day is to try to help 100,000 people before I pass. And so that goal it has already started because I've helped probably over 100 plus people so far, but that goal is steadily on a rise right now. I see it climbing so much. The last event I did last month, I spoke and shared my story with the housing board in my state to help keep funding for the LGBT people, for the homeless people, and for HIV programs in my state. And I was able to help so many people. I'd had people from different types of programs that just helping people with disabilities. It was people there that were just at the housing passing out Section 8 vouchers. Like I was speaking to these people who had never even seen a trans person, and to share my story with them, and for them to walk up to me at the end like, "I really appreciate you sharing your journey," and things like that. That's what I'm about. Like I really just want to help and share and just love people. I just want to love on people. That's what I like to do.
When you imagine like your opportunities in the future, are you hopeful that your transness wouldn't be a barrier? Because I know when I was younger, I don't come up in the world that you are currently living in. And so
Hmm.
when I was younger, it was absolutely a barrier. And so,
Hmm.
but now that we have evolved as a culture, I'm seeing so many doors open, which I'm proud. I love to see, so many doors open that I wouldn't have been able to get when I was younger, to see y'all kind of go through them. How do you
Yeah.
feel about the hope in regards to your opportunities as you navigate the world?
Well, shout out to social media, because social media has definitely changed over the years. Like, even though I started in 2017, even at that point, Black trans men wasn't on the internet doing what they doing now. Now you can get on TikTok and you can type in trans and you can see all different types of people within seconds, and so many people pop up.
No,
But
wait. They were, you just weren't exposed to it.
well,
They
yeah,
were.
Twitter. I just got, oh my God, Twitter just. But again, okay. Well, let's say marginalized across different platforms.
Mhm.
Now it's really accessible to see this and see people transition in real time, who's sharing their journey month by month, who's showing their surgeries, who's showing, like, now you can see that anywhere. And so, to get back to what you were saying, like, what was
The
the end part
hope.
of your question?
Like, do you feel like, do you have hope for your opportunities, or is transness a barrier?
Right. So now, since it's social media, and I'm able to show my skills in so many different ways, I can get booked for trans stuff, and I can be linking up with people to do whatever craft that I want to do on the side. And that's what social media has allowed. So I don't feel like it's going to be a barrier in the near future, because there's so many programs and things being in place where they have to be inclusive. So now we are in those spaces, and so now we have no choice but to thrive. The sky's the limit. It'll have to go up from here. So with me being invited to these different spaces, and I get to talk about my trans life, I always talk about the other things that I do. I do hair. I like to be funny. I make skits. I do this. I always pivot. Oh, I'm into real estate. I know about this. I know about that. I'm a jack of all trades. I could do so much. Even though my main platform is about trans stuff, but that trans experience has so many things within it. So I'm not even gonna allow myself to be boxed. I wouldn't even if I'm continuously being showered on my trans advocacy, I'm still going to push the other things that I have. I'm still going to always do that.
Good, good.
Gimme euphoria, more than peace of mind. It's the
So tell me, what is bringing you euphoria this week?
Not even this week. The past couple months, what has been keeping me glowing is really self-reflecting. Like I said, I just got out of a 5-year relationship, but before that, my life has just been a roller coaster, one thing after the other, one thing after the other. And I felt like I never had a time to just sit down and be like, okay, this is what I went through. Let's move on. Let's move forward. I never had a time to just sit, stop, and think. And so now, being on my own for the past 2 months, I get to self-reflect on everything, on so much all by myself. I get to feel sorry for myself. I get to celebrate myself. I get to cry. I get to be angry all by myself. So that's what's, even the lows, that's what's been keeping me high right now, and just been keeping me going, because it's like now I get to see, like you asked me, like, what is the affirming in my journey? Like, that's why I said, even you hitting me up, like taking the time to even embrace that, like, wow, I'm being noticed as a trans advocate, even though I've been doing this for 7.5, almost 8 years. So now I get to look back and be like, dang, I really was a little girl though. I really did have ballies in my hair. Like, there's people who know me as a little girl, who has seen me as a little girl. And then now I get to say, wow, I really was a stud, and I came out in middle school, and I really was the first person to have a lesbian open relationship in middle school. And like, I did play basketball in high school, and I do have trophies, and I did meet LeBron James, and I did do this. Like, I've done so much that I never really sat and been like, wow. But now I get to, and I love it. I'm like, dang, bro, you really been through a lot, and you don't even look like it. You don't even look like what you've been through, man.
What is bringing me euphoria this week is my little brother. My little brother has been, both of them, they have gotten married. Both of them have gotten married and had children, and they are really out here being really good fathers. Man, not that I haven't seen good fathers, but I
Right.
just love that my brothers, who I was such a big part of raising them, have become these caring, loving fathers and doing fatherhood in a way that is total opposite of their
From
own.
where you was, oh yes,
And
clock it. That's
like,
what I had to learn to do in my relationship. Oh, I was unlearning so many things that my mom has instilled in me.
yes. And so they are really out here trying to, not spank their children. They're really out here trying to just parent in a more healthy, trauma-informed way. And me kind of getting like pictures from them and having really deep parenting conversations, and them, even though I don't have no children, them trusting my opinion about their parenting. It really makes me feel good, and it makes me feel good to see them out here really navigating their fatherhood in a certain way. And it brought me so much joy having these conversations. So yes, that is what's bringing me euphoria this week. And so I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Well,
I
thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I hope it turns out good.
Yeah, it's already good. Tell the people where they can find you.
Okay, so my name is Sir Diamond. You can pretty much find me on any social media by Sir Diamond, or it would be real REAL dot Sir Diamond. But I'm sure if you just type in Sir Diamond, my black ass gonna pop up on anything. That's on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I do have a Snapchat as well. I don't even really know how to use Snapchat, but I got a Snapchat too.
And I'm going to put all those links down in the bottom, so it'll be easy for y'all to find. I'm going to put that down there. And yeah, we will see y'all next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
I make it easy to love me. I make it easy to care for me. I make it easy to share all your world with me. And if you have the best of both worlds, it still wouldn't be enough.